This is the Spin Lob.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Spin Lob. This is season 1, episode 2 of our podcast. As you know, the Spin Lob is dedicated to Ohio water polo and any kind of water polo around us, to bring you timely information on what's going on in the sport, and also providing special guests on a weekly or bi-weekly basis to give you insights on everything that's going on with water polo. I'm one of your hosts, Mike Jones, and joining me as usual is my co-host, Nick Helwig, and this is our number 2 episode. So tonight we'll be discussing the following. First of all, as we've been seeing in the news lately and all over, the coronavirus and how it's impacting the Buckeye state of Ohio. And then Nick and I are going to go through our greatest and most haunting memories of water polo. We'll see how much we can peel the onion back on some of the memories we've had and what's been awesome for us, but also what's been horrific for us and we don't want to forget, or we do want to forget. And then finally, our main topic tonight, we brought on Paul Splitt. He's the head water polo coach for Moose Water Polo, which is based out of Cincinnati. He's going to give us some insights on what he's been doing to keep his players active, how the club is doing, and just give us some background on the club in general, because it is a growing club in Ohio and nationally that's getting a lot of publicity all over the country. So, Nick, why don't you take it over?
So I'm sure most of you guys know by now, earlier in the week, Mike DeWine, governor of Ohio, extended the stay-at-home through May 1st, which is really disrupting schools. Now schools are planning to have to be online teaching through May, and even talking with some local principals around here where I live, they're telling teachers to continue planning throughout the entire rest of the year. So a lot of disruption there. Disruption to the spring sports, not just high school sports, but club sports as well. Especially club season with water polos in the spring. So it's kind of put a hold on all of that. They had to postpone some of the major swimming events as well for club swimming. And that's going to kind of play into how things are going to kind of pan out in the next couple of months. Talking with some coaches in Missouri, such as Don Casey from MICDS and Miguel with SLAP. Just their struggle. They were, like one day away from their first game of the season when their season kind of just got shut down. And I was also talking with the Ann Arbor coach up there, Will Hart, and just how hard it's been on those girls for their season, and just having to continue to wait. And so that's been a big problem going on with those. I know some of the coaches in Missouri have been asking their ADs to extend the high school season into the summer, just so that especially seniors can get kind of a last hurrah. I've reached out to them in Illinois and Michigan for our summer tournament, hoping to say, hey, we're going to kind of open this up to any team, and going through some insurance, so that way every team, whether it be a high school or club, will get that kind of chance to maybe play one last tournament before they go. I know Cap 7's made a big deal. They started switching to selling face masks. And Mike, have you ordered a Cap 7 face mask?
I ordered 2, one for my wife and one for me. I camo for me and purple for my wife, but we can always change. So yeah, I ordered it yesterday.
Yeah, I haven't ordered those. I happen to have a nice little pack of them from when I was spray painting our basement, and had bought like a 5-pack at some point in time. So I've had a couple just generic ones that I might let the kids draw on. But looking at probably having to order some more creative ones coming up. So, but that's kind of the rundown. Would I have anything else, Mike, you got to add? I know you're working at home and your wife's teaching at home and the kids are at home. So I'm sure that's been kind of hard on you guys. Kids still, and now looking into summer.
Yeah, so one sad note is, I think it was today, or maybe it was yesterday, Wittenberg Water Polo posted on Twitter that it would have been their senior day for their lone senior, Savannah Phillips. So she doesn't get to experience that. And I know every sport at every level, high school, college, can't have that day. So it's tough to probably finish the year like that. Or not even have really a year. And I know like baseball season really hasn't started for college. And so it's very difficult to deal with. home front here is fine. We're all working from home, teaching from home, doing everything we can from home. So we're trying to build in a pretty good schedule to follow, every day, so we can entertain the kids, provide the kids with some instruction, make sure they're following their academics. My wife is the hero in all of this because she's very good about organization, and she's a teacher as well. Most teachers are very strong with that. So on to week 2, full first 4 week was last week, on to week 2 tomorrow, and then we'll see how it goes. But yeah, you're right. We're looking at all the way to the end of the school year to keep this going.
Yeah. I know some colleges have extended their seniors' ability to play next year. I wonder how many are going to take them up on that. I was talking with Amanda Putoff up at Gannon, and she was talking about how she is actually going to be going another year anyways and get that chance to play next year. But I just wonder how many of those college students are going to take this school up on that offer, especially if they're not like on a full scholarship. That's a lot of money just to play a season. I mean, it is your last season, but I wonder if that weighs the options. Maybe it's something we talk with, Wittenberg about, or some of those coaches.
Yeah, one benefit might be, though, if the student is going on to secondary school, like a master's program or something like that, I think they could take advantage of still playing water polo then while still going to school there. And it just depends on eligibility and all that. But I think that might be the only one of the few ways that could take advantage of that.
Yeah. Too bad Obi Toppin's not going to take advantage of that.
Yeah,
I
no
wish him
kidding.
going to the NBA, but man, I'd love to have him back for one more season.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
All right, so should we move on to the greatest moments of our playing careers? So, Nick, let me ask you first. I know you've played in St. Louis. You played for the University of Dayton. You now play for the Squirrels. Please highlight what you feel is your greatest moment in your playing career.
Oh, that's a tough one. I mean, we made it to the state finals my senior year in high school, but I think probably my all-time best memory is gonna have to be the semifinal game my freshman year at University of Dayton. We are a ragtag group of players, just all over the place. We have a freshman girl goalie. I'm a freshman. We've got another player who's played I think for like 7 years because of the club. He's still going to Dayton, so he keeps playing. And we have a player from Turkey that barely spoke any English. And all of a sudden, we're making the first round win, second round win. All of a sudden, we're matched up in the semifinals with, it's the Grand Valley State, who we're not supposed to beat at all. Like this, Grand Valley State and Miami have made the national tournament out of our division forever, right? If you remember playing, I don't know if you weren't playing yet with OU, Mike, yet, but so we match up with them and we end up beating them by a couple. And just I remember being ecstatic and going crazy. We had a girl that was at Wright State and taking classes at Dayton. She was just bawling because we were just so excited on this massive win, because with that win, we were able to go to nationals in Florida my freshman year. And I think that was just awe-inspiring. Just to go to that trip was phenomenally fun. But I think my best memory is that win against Grand Valley State my freshman year. What about you, Mike? What's your topper?
My topper's probably going to be close to yours. Freshman year at OU, the Ohio University team was okay. We weren't fully developed, but we were pretty good. But we were bottom of the barrel in our division. I mean, we couldn't even keep up with a program like Miami's B team, which was relatively strong that year. So we go.
Yeah, I remember that too. Yeah.
Yeah, we go into championships weekend, and we're, got nothing to lose, so we go all out, and we end up upsetting Miami B, and then we end up upsetting Akron, and then we get into the finals against Miami A, and we lose by 2. And we had a team just like your Dayton squad. A couple guys I still play with right now for the Squirrels. One of them's Jeff Clemens, who's joining us next week, actually, and then a guy that played for Toledo St. Francis, a couple goalies that were pretty good, and then we had everyone else was really they've never played before, but they've only been swimmers, which isn't a bad thing. And we put together a pretty good finish to that weekend, even though we didn't go to nationals like you did. We gave Miami a pretty good run for their money, and it was tough game. Obviously, we lost, but it was a great memory for us.
I think that was the first year they split our division, where it used to be like teams like Notre Dame, Grand Valley State, a bunch of other teams. We only saw them in the championship season. Yeah. Well, then after that year, maybe because Dayton went to nationals and they said that maybe we should have Dayton go to nationals, they split divisions up. So that side, Grand Valley State, Notre Dame, they all got a team to go in, and then we got our one for the Ohio Valley. I don't know. I still have a third place trophy somewhere over here. Yeah, and I probably should be up at Dayton, so hopefully they're not listening.
I will give a close second though. So 2 years ago, I got to meet Tony Azevedo. He came to our practice and trained us as best as us old men could when he was here in Cincinnati for their clinic, and so that was a pretty awesome experience to shake his hand, learn a couple cool techniques, and we actually had lunch with him afterwards. So that was a lot of fun.
So that was on top of one of my top ones for that, and haunting, because I think I took 2 shots that practice and Tony blocked both of them, field block wise. So, I mean, I don't know how many people can say that nowadays that they've had their shot. I'm sure a lot of people have had their shot blocked by Tony, but in Cincinnati, probably a lot less.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
All right. So haunting memories. We're all haunted by something that we wish we would have done differently. Mine, and I kind of use this to relate to a lot of my high school kids. When we lose a game that was close, and I know it's going to be with them, but I tell them, that you can grow from it. My haunting memory is the state championship game my senior year. We're playing MICDS. We back and forth with them all year. And we're coming down towards the end of the game. We're down a couple. And so the goalie makes a block. It goes over to the right corner, and I can remember just chasing him over that way. And for whatever reason, there's no referee call. I'm able to sit there and almost pin him without fouling. He goes to make a pass, and I hit his elbow, and the ball drops about the 4. And I just start sprinting for the ball, center cage, and I see it, at least I think I see it as Fender coming at me, and I get the ball, and I just flip it to the goal, and it lands goal line and doesn't move. And at that point, I am so exhausted from sprinting to get that other ball real quick. I can't make it back in time to get it. The goalie scoops it up, and we end up losing the game by 2. But I can just remember, after the game, like, oh, you had more time to pick it up and shoot. And I was like, oh, I just wish I had that back. But that's one of my haunting memories of water polo for me. Anything pop up like that for you, Mike?
So I officiated for 10 years for high school, and I was on the state title game between St. Francis and St. Charles. It was funny. Both coaches were actually sitting next to me. So we're talking about Jeff Gear and David Eisenstein. Is that right?
Yeah, Eisenstein, about that. Yeah.
Eisenstein. And it's during the consolation game. So they're watching what's going on, and they're both sitting next to me. We're having a casual conversation. I'm on the final game. It's not like they're trying to, get an edge here. And I get up to go have my officiating meeting with my counterpart, and I wipe out on the floor of the pool due to water. And both coaches looked at me thinking, who is this jokester? And basically Dave's like, are you sure you want to ref our game? And I've just had to laugh, obviously. And, I've known Dave and Jeff for quite a while before that. So it's not like these were new people and I was new to them. But it was a funny moment. I'm like, man, every time I'm walking on that pool deck, especially before that kind of game, I have to be very careful. A, it's slippery, but B, everybody's watching you walk across because the game's about to start, or they can see who the referees are going to be. So probably more hilarious more than haunting, but I don't want to relive that ever again. Yeah. All right, so let's get to the meat of our conversation today during our episode. So joining us today is Paul Splitt. I've known Paul literally since 1998 when I started playing water polo. Paul has had just to give a brief introduction on him, and I know he's going to talk more about it. He's coach for Moose Water Polo Club in Cincinnati. He's also the head coach for St. Xavier High School water polo. He's got a plethora of teams that he's coached for and played for. So we'll let him go through some of his background before we get into the meat of this. But Paul, thanks for joining us today.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on board. It's pretty awesome to be here.
Yeah, so you heard the initial question. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your short history of water polo experience back when you started playing and then to now?
My playing days are nothing to really talk a whole lot about. I started in high school at Milford. I played for a few years there. I was a goalie, and I got hooked on it. I played a ton of different sports at that point in my life, and I played 5 minutes of it in phys ed class, and I said, "This is my new sport," so I'm in. And I played it through high school, played club and college, but my playing days, there's nothing really fancy about it. I just had a lot of fun playing goalie, blocked some shots, got a chance to travel. But then the coaching started really early on in my college years. And I actually just went back to Milford High School and asked Gary Tamaris, do you need any help coaching this year? And his assistant coach actually was sick and he didn't have an assistant. So he said, yeah, I need as much help as you can provide. So here I am, third year in college, and I'm helping out at high school. And like that first year, I'm coaching kids that they were my freshmen when I was a senior, and started from there. And then you fast forward a few years, 2010. So this was 2002. I got started, and then 2010, I started coaching with Moose. I started Moose. Nick was there in the beginning. We started Moose in 2010. And that was my first experience with the club level. And then shortly after that, I got involved coaching at the ODP level. And outside of the high school and club season and ODP, there's been a lot. It's been a lot of fun.
So go ahead, Nick.
Go ahead, Mike.
So we posted the question to Nick and I about our most haunting greatest moment. Not to put you on the spot, but do you have a greatest moment that you'd like to isolate and then a haunting one?
I think my greatest moment came last year. There was this time last year, I got asked to be on the Futures team, which is it's essentially our youth national team. We have an A group and a B group, and it's essentially our national B team. And so I got asked to be on the national B team, and I got to be an assistant coach. So at the end of the summer, right after JOs, we took a 2-week training trip to Budapest, and I got to be an assistant coach on that staff for a couple of weeks. When they handed me the polo that said USA on there, I had tears in my eyes. It was a really powerful, really just amazing experience and such an honor to be named at the national team. And that experience as a coach was just absolutely amazing. 2 weeks in Budapest, it's truly the epicenter of water polo. And we got to see some really amazing things. So that was, without question, the highlight of my career so far.
That could also be a very haunting experience too. I mean, the anxiety to get ready for at an international level game, coaching players that most of them you've probably never coached before. So getting familiar with that, I mean, that's like starting a gig that you're not really comfortable starting with yet, but you were selected. So there has to be some kind of confidence level there that you are the one for the job. Now, tell us about truly a haunting experience. I'm sure with your lineup of years of coaching and playing, there's got to be a couple of those that fall to the top or come to the top.
Actually, it goes right in alignment with that. So the second day, every day that we're in Budapest, we had multiple trainings, and each of the trainings we were scrimmaging local teams. And in one of the trainings, one of the officials didn't show up. So the head coach, so Brian Linton, love the guy, just absolutely amazing guy. He's been so awesome in my career development. He looks at me, he's the head coach, and he says, "All right, Paul, get your whistle. You're officiating the game." And like that freaked me out. I was like, are you sure you want me to do this? You want me to officiate this level of the game? He said, yeah. So it was just me calling the game. And I swear, I don't think I breathed for that first quarter. It was truly a really intense experience. I settled down. It turned out to be okay, but there's few things that really stand out that really intimidated me like that.
So coaching on that national team kind of stuff, like looking at it, you've coached, high school, you've coached, club level and ODP stuff. What do you think that difference is from that national team to, let's say, maybe like the average player here in Ohio?
I think one of the biggest things is, so there's a few layers to it. One is the speed of the game, and you can't simulate the speed of the game here. We in the Midwest, we don't get enough of the truly high level games to see it at that level, so it's natural. So part of it is the speed, and we even had kids from the Midwest that were on that team that went out to Budapest. We had kids from the Northeast zone, and you can see that the skill is there. We have the skill levels to handle it, but the speed of the game is really hard to mentally catch up to right away, and there's this learning curve with it. And so I think the kids that were from the Midwest and Northeast, when we started that tournament, they were probably the furthest behind, but by the end of it, they showed like, yeah, they absolutely belonged, and it was pretty normal. So that's one layer of it. But I think another really, we can't simulate this, is the physicality of it. So there's the on-ball pressure is something that we genuinely can't simulate here. So how you deliver pressure and how you handle it, and then being able to play through that and releasing through the pressure, it's just a higher level of physicality when you get to that. And they don't blow the whistle as much. You have to really earn it at that high level, and there's no really bailing out of a player. So that becomes really hard for our area to be natural in that.
Is there a way to teach that, or is that just you have to continue to play at that higher level, or just play over time? Talking with coaches and stuff out in other regions that you got kids playing, since they're 6. Is that just we need the time to play that, or is that something that coaches can coach?
I think it's a little bit of both. You obviously need games, and if we're talking like it, so if we look at what we did last year in Moose, we had maybe 30 to 40 club games, and we get like 30-ish high school games. So we're looking at 60 to 70 games in a full calendar year, and of those games, a lot of them are blowouts, one way or the other. And so we're not getting really challenged in a lot of those games. So if we look at maybe 40% of those games are really high intensity. So that's part of it. We need that. But I also believe that some of those layers can be taught, because like we can handle the skill. We know how to do the skills. So like the on-ball pressure, how do you apply it, and how do you do different layers of the on-ball pressure is something we can absolutely teach. So our kids can be equipped. They just need to have that opportunity to be sharpened.
I mean, you just brought up Moose. Can you just give us a quick rundown of what Moose is for you, and just kind of run through that real quick?
Yeah. So you were there like in the beginning. We said before, like we started in 2010, and I think like the first few years it's trying to figure out like what is Moose. It's like 30 kids early on with it, combined boys and girls. And as the years grew, so do the numbers, so do the opportunities. And it was interesting because in 2010, when it started, it was the only club team in Ohio at that time. And, now there's a bunch of club teams around. And so there's more opportunities to play. And there's more opportunities for the kids at the high school level, for boys, girls, and then there's opportunities for that 14 under, that junior high age group. And so Moose has turned into a program where we have 14 under. So I think we've had kids like 8, 9 years old that we've done in summer stuff, all the way through kids in high school. And so, I mean, I think on our biggest year, right around 150 kids, and we average somewhere between 120 and 150 every year. And it just depends. Really, the graduating senior class is the driving factor in that. But it's not just kids from Cincinnati. We do pull kids from all over our region to come and practice with us. Spring, it's a little bit harder, but summer, we get a lot of those kids. We had a Hungarian come with us, train with us last year. And so what it looks like for me is, I run all those things. I'm the head coach for all those layers, but I don't show up to all the 14 other stuff. We have a program coach that, but I help out. I've got my hand in all of those layers.
Well, that's incredible. So during this pandemic time of what's going on, your season was supposed to start. It didn't. How are you staying connected with your players, the parents too, on what's going on, and update on the club?
Yeah, so that's really the easiest way to connect is been we use group chats like we use GroupMe, and that's been really easy for us to have to stay connected. It's really hard because this is such a season of disconnection. So we're trying to find ways to stay connected. Obviously, Zoom, like we use Zoom all the time. We'll have regular Zoom chats. We'll break down film on Zoom chats. We will do workouts on Zoom chats. So that part's been pretty easy to have those connections. It's great that we have the technology available. We also in our group chats, the kids will post them doing workouts, and then they'll post a video of them doing their workout, and then there's a lot of hype and celebration behind it.
So we've seen a video of yours, a couple of videos I think that you've posted. They're pretty awesome. Um, Tell us why did you decide to develop it? And if the short answer is because I want my players to watch this and stay active, that's great. But your generation of those ideas, like some of those things are pretty unique. I've never seen before. Where do you find your ideas from? Is it from other ODP sessions and things like that?
Yeah, so the whole crux behind that was there's not a lot of access at that time. There wasn't a whole lot of access to the videos that were there for water polo workouts. And I've got a background in PE, and I've been coaching a long time. I've worked a lot with strength and conditioning coaches, and so part of those are the genesis behind it, but partially just trying to be creative and figure out what people have at their house to use if they don't have weights. And you got to work the muscle groups. There's not a muscle you don't use in water polo. So just trying to come up with different ways that we can do that.
Nice.
Well, thanks, Paul. We could probably spend another good probably hour just chatting about water polo and club wise, ODP wise. So probably have to have you back on and talk about some of those different layers coming up soon.
Guys, thanks for having me on. I'd be happy to talk. That's all I'm doing right now is just talking water polo. I'm gonna jump on a bunch of Zooms tomorrow and just keep getting after it.
Yeah, Nick, I think a good idea might be when we're through this, stay-at-home format, and when Paul's team is just getting going up again, uh, he can come back on and kind of talk about what they had to do to jumpstart their program, because they're going to have a shortened season. They might be looking at fall, a lot closer to fall, so maybe even his other clubs that he runs to, like what he's doing to get them sharpen their skills even quicker, because I think it's a big deal. So. All right. Well, thanks, Paul. We appreciate it. Thanks for being our first guest speaker too. A lot of people get, their haunting moment was being on a podcast. A lot of people have anxiety when they come on here on any podcast. I appreciate your confidence and all the information you provided. So we will send you off, and if obviously look forward to the recording in a couple days or tomorrow morning, and we'll be good again.
All right, so I believe next week, Mike, we're going to be interviewing with the Ohio Squirrels. And who did you say was going to be on with that?
We have two of our board members. One of them is actually a coach. His name's Jeff Clemens. And then our other board member is Ben Keefe, who I think you coached, maybe?
I did, yes. One of my first years through, yeah.
Yeah, we're having them on. We're talking about the Nutty Invitational that was in the end of February, one of the last Ohio tournaments that took place before the stay-at-home format started and the coronavirus started hitting all of our pools and programs. Nick, what else do we have going on next week?
Is John Abdu able to meet with us next week? Do you know if we're able to get a hold of him?
Yeah, he's committed. He's joining us next week. John Abdu is the USA Water Polo Performance Director. So he's going to be coming on board to talk about similar things that Paul's been talking about, but at much higher national level on what the national team's doing to stay active and their other high-level club programs doing. So he can kind of give us a full picture. So that should be pretty robust. Two very good topics to talk about, one local and one at the national level.
Yeah, and if anybody out there listening has topics they want us to discuss, or if they have people that you want to hear interview, just give us a shout out at cincywaterpolo@gmail.com or on Twitter, Instagram at cincywaterpolo.
Cool. So closing out here. So want to let you know the Spin Lob is produced and recorded by myself, Mike Jones, and Nick Helwig. We have a couple supporters, the Ohio Squirrels Water Polo Club.
Audionautics.com, and we hope to hear you or hope you hear us next week.
Perfect.